We've got snow, we've got flooding rains, we've got snow, we've got extreme cold warnings in effect. Did I say we've got snow? A parade of winter storms is set to affect the United States over the next 2 weeks, and we've got all the details. A new episode of Cold Rain's Weather World starts right now. Hi, folks, and welcome into the channel. My name is Jason Pritchard, aka Cold Rain, and you are here for another exciting, action-packed edition of Cold Rain's Weather World. We've got a big show lined up today. We've got system after system after system affecting the entire country from sea to shining sea with cold, snow, and flooding rains, and we're going to get into all of that here in just a few minutes. Before we do, I want to remind you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on so that you receive alerts when we launch additional videos, and leave a comment in the comment section. Now, I'm going to steal something from my friend Mitch West, who has been a great help to me as I have started this channel. He always asks for his listeners and viewers to put prayer requests in the comment section. I think that is a wonderful idea, and I don't think he'll mind if I borrow that idea. So there's a lot of stress and anxiety in the world today, and one of the things that we want to do on this channel is to be a community that comes together, lifts each other up, has some fun, and hopefully you can leave feeling like you understand a little bit more about the weather than you did before you came, but also just feeling lifted up and good. So to that end, put any prayer requests that you have in the comment section. If you don't, aren't into that, that's not your thing, then don't worry about that. Just type questions, type comments about the show, make suggestions. Happy to incorporate those. So happy to answer any questions as well. So that's with that said, let's just dive in here to the weather today. So we're going to start today's video with the satellite image. And as you can see, there are tons of high and mid-level clouds surging in across the southern tier of the country. Over here in North Carolina, we've got some low clouds that have hung around all morning. I'm looking out the window right now, and it is a cloudy day. High clouds are streaming in. All of this activity here in the central part of the country, that's going to come together to create a pretty significant winter storm for parts of the Mid-Atlantic. So we're going to take a look at that here in a minute. Taking a look at the current radar, we see showers, light rain and sprinkles across some of parts of the southern tier. We get on up in here into South Dakota, into Nebraska. We're seeing a little bit of light snow, not anything really to get too concerned about. Some lake effect snow up here over the Great Lakes, and then pretty much quiet period for the entire country, but it is not going to stay that way. Let me tell you, there's going to be storm after storm, and we're going to take a look at that. If we look at our current temperature map, very, very cold air up here situated across Montana into North Dakota, parts of Minnesota. This is below zero temperature up here, folks. So anywhere where you're seeing this purple shade, this is minus single digits to minus teens. So this air is set and poised to work its way into the northern tier of the country. As a matter of fact, we'll see in a minute, but we've got extreme cold warnings up here for very, very cold air coming in. Much of the country is socked in with colder temperatures. We had a very, very nice weekend in the southeast. Those days are long gone because we are going to see a turn to colder weather, and you can already see that on this map here. Now, if we take a look at the WPC hazards map, they put this out every day to assess the various weather hazards around the country over the next 3 to 7 days. And you can see up here what we talked about, already see the cold air working in, but you can see a risk of much, much below normal temperatures. This is going to be very, very cold air. If you're out in that, you need to bundle up and limit your duration. We've got a risk for heavy snow up here around Valentine's Day in the Northeast, another risk over here in lower portions of the Northeast into the Mid-Atlantic. Freezing rain potential, and then heavy rain over the portions of the South and the Tennessee Valley. We're going to really see rainfall amounts pick up in here over the course of the next week. Potential high winds over here in New Mexico, working into Colorado, parts of Texas. So hold on to your hats out here. Looking at the National Weather Service products page, we can see the actual warnings and watches that are in place. So all of these areas shaded in blue up here are essentially cold weather warnings. So you've got this area shaded in this light blue, that's cold weather advisories, and then we get up in here to this dark blue. These are extreme cold warnings. So we're talking temperatures minus 20 air temperatures, and then with wind working in, looking at minus 50 degrees. That will cause instantaneous frostbite almost. So you want to, as I said before, limit your duration outside and bundle up, because this is going to be cold. This is for tonight into tomorrow. So watch out up there. In the middle of the country, we've got over here in portions of Kansas into Missouri, we've got winter storm watches up for a system that's going to come in the next couple of days. We're going to start to see snow break out here, and you know, look anywhere from 4 to 6, potentially 8 inches of snow in this area. We've also got winter storm watches up here in portions of Kentucky, over to West Virginia, over into the Delmarva area, over to Baltimore, Delaware. And then below there, winter storm warnings for portions of western and central Virginia, northern Virginia. Even got a few advisories here in northwest North Carolina for potential for some light icing. So that's a quick look at the hazards map. The only other thing I guess that is important to know, we've got flood watches in place in southern Kentucky, and hydrologic outlooks in place here in eastern Tennessee. I'm going to show you one more thing real quick. So this whole entire area from Kentucky down here to Texas, Louisiana, over into northern Georgia, North Carolina, we're going to see a lot of rain in this area. We're talking about several inches, as much as 6, even 8 inches of rain in some portions in this area here. So I would be very cautious over the next week in terms of watching for flood watches and warnings. You're going to see a lot of those pop up as we work through the week. So we'll dive into the details of that Mid-Atlantic winter storm coming up in just a second. Before we do, just a quick top level look at the general pattern over the next couple of weeks as depicted by the European model. And so rolling this forward, you see one storm system after another coming together and traversing the continent. And you can actually see part 1 of our winter storm affecting the Mid-Atlantic, part 2, ice storm up into the northern Blue Ridge Mountains, and then it goes on up to affect the Northeast with snow. We see another storm system coming together here in the heartland section of the country. Snow up into the Great Lakes, up into the Northeast. That's winter storm number 2. Winter storm number 3 taking shape. Now the European model kind of takes this to the south down here. If that's the case, you know, we've got some precipitation type concerns, northern North Carolina into Virginia. It looks like it's showing another good substantial snowstorm hit for the Mid-Atlantic. Too early to tell. I mean, we're talking 10 days out for that. So we'll kind of adjust the track of that storm as we go through time. I wouldn't focus too heavily on where the snow is falling on this map. But then we go on out here and we see another light event coming through. So the takeaway here, this is a very active pattern that we're in, storm system after storm system after storm system, and really it favors winter weather across the northern tier of the country. I think the south is a little bit too warm, most of the south and southeast, to really cash in on any type of snow or ice event, but we'll continue to watch it. If we look at the snow map, you know, this is valid for basically 10 to 11 days out, and you can see the footprint of snow here. Let's get our marker on here and we can illustrate. So we've got Cascades into the Sierra Nevada. We've got some big snow coming in here all the way through the Rocky Mountains. So these mountain peaks definitely are going to see a lot of snow. And then when we get into the heartland, this is picking up on some of that earlier snow, but then, you know, the next couple of systems dive in through here. Probably into West Virginia. Northern Virginia is the southern extent of where we're going to see any type of winter weather into the Northeast. So anywhere above that pink line, I think, is game on for winter weather. That's not to say that it's impossible that we couldn't sneak a little bit of snow or ice south of that, but right now, the way the pattern is set up, the storm track is kind of along a line that looks something like that, and or even north of there. So that's where you're going to see the colder air kind of stick and stay, and then the snow is going to fall into that section. Rain's going to be south of there. Really, if we the main concern for the folks in the South, particularly kind of in this area, flooding rains. That's where kind of the bulk of it is. Obviously, there's a larger area at play in terms of just overall general rains. But in this, I guess, inner circle, here's where you're probably going to see most of the rainfall falling over the next week and a half. And so we'll take a look more at that here in a few minutes. Now, into the Mid-Atlantic. So this is the NAM model. We're looking at 3K NAM. This is 12Z run for today. And I think it does a pretty good job of illustrating where the precipitation types are going to kind of line out. NAM does a good job picking up on warm noses, warm air intrusions in the mid-levels of the atmosphere that can melt snow and turn it over into rain, which would then potentially refreeze if you have a large enough freezing layer at the ground, or if not, if the surface is below freezing, the rain hits it, turns into ice. We call that freezing rain, of course. And so the NAM does a pretty good job of detecting any warm noses that develop. And so if we roll this forward, we start to see precipitation working in, sometime Tuesday morning. Starts as snow, and the orange that you see on the map here is sleet. So that's going to fill in fairly nicely through the day. It's actually depicting some freezing rain. This pink is freezing rain. It's actually depicting freezing rain and sleet well in North Carolina. Now, I'm not sure that we're going to see much in the way of freezing rain and sleet in North Carolina. Probably somewhere. I just wouldn't be surprised if we see, kind of along this line here, particularly over into the mountains, a little bit of ice to start, nothing major, it's not going to stick on the roadways all that much. You might see a slick spot or two, but I wouldn't expect a major winter storm here. Where we're really going to focus our attention is in Virginia, and you start to see a more significant winter storm unfold here. So you've got a whole mix of snow, sleet, freezing rain. The northern half of the state is going to see the most snow before the warming takes over. So you're going to end up seeing it remain mostly snow here in Virginia, kind of north of this line here over into Baltimore, into Dover, and southern New Jersey. So for round one, you're going to see mostly snow above here. You're going to see some sleet in the transition zone, and then some icing taking shape kind of in this area like this. So icing is going to be in there. You're going to watch out for power outages as we go through the rest of the event. And so that's what we're looking at for round one. If we roll this forward a little bit more, we start to see the precipitation pick back up toward the end of the NAM range. And now where it was cold enough for snow before, we've got sleet, we've got freezing rain. It's going to be a pretty substantial ice storm in this area in here. And I can't get the thing to draw like I want, but right in here, ice storm. We're looking at probably 0.25, quarter of an inch to a half an inch of ice. Some of the model output, if you look at it, you'll see these crazy numbers like an inch and a half. You're not going to get that, but certainly enough in here to cause some power outages and disrupt travel. So be on the alert for that. As you go forward in time beyond the range of the NAM rolling. Here we got the same. Let's do this first. Let's show you the snowfall map. So we're going to come in here and take a look at the snowfall map and roll that all the way forward. NAM's showing anywhere from 10, some 8, 9, 10 inches of snow. That may be a little bit high. This 14.2, 12.3. I don't know if that we're going to see a foot of snow in here. A lot of times these snow maps kind of come out too high, so I'd maybe slash this by 75% or something. But really, a good 6 to 8 inches of snow is probably not unlikely in this kind of an area here before sleet mixes in and turns it to rain. So 6, 8 inches, maybe some spots in 10. Just depends on how quickly the warm nose comes in and changes over to sleet or freezing rain. So interesting situation on tap for portions of Virginia into the Mid-Atlantic. If we roll the GFS forward, so this is the American model, we'll just roll this forward. It's showing a pretty massive hit. The GFS is just a buffet of stupidity from time to time, and it likes to print out these massive snow maps. So don't really focus on that. Think of this as where the likeliest footprint of snow to be, and just know that. So in this area here, probably this may be a little bit too far south. I'd probably move this up a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we're looking at 6, 8 inches of snow somewhere in this area. And the GFS If we roll the snow map on forward, it it shows snow in North Carolina. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but we'll see. Same model GFS. This shows you how the precipitation type should unfold. So round 1 comes in, round 2 comes in. We've got icing. It turns over to rain. Everybody warms up, and then on, and we're kind of done. So Mid-Atlantic, you're under the gun for a nice winter storm. Enjoy that. Now, before we hop over to the Northeast to see how much snow they might get over the next couple of weeks, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is the Crooked Wrench Automotive Group. Are you tired of dealing with auto mechanics who are fast, friendly, and affordable? Well, here at the Crooked Wrench, you don't have to worry about any of that. If your car won't start, or if it sputters down the highway, or if you just need routine maintenance, just bring it by and we'll get to it, eventually. Our mechanics take pride in knowing that you don't know jack about cars. In fact, we know that you don't know what we know, and that means more money for us. We'll be sure to take our time and keep the meter running, and if we don't fix it right the first time, just bring it back for another try. It's not that we don't know what we're doing, it's that we really don't care all that much. After all, it's not our car, it's yours. So come see us at the Crooked Wrench, where we work slow and charge fast. Give us a try just once and we'll hook you for life. Credit cards not accepted, special offers void where prohibited. Well, we're a small channel and we'll take what we can get, I guess. Okay, on to the Northeast. Northeast, you folks are in line for quite a number of snowstorms over the next couple of weeks. And if we roll this forward, we can see that winter storm that's affecting the Mid-Atlantic get on out of here. And then as we get into Thursday into Friday, system rolls through, it drops anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 inches of snow. Now, this is an ensemble mean, so you've got some members that show more than this and some that show less than this. So this is sort of averaging it out. But, good 3 to 6 inches of snow. And then as we go forward on into next week, Sunday, Monday, really see the snow mean pick up here. We're talking anywhere from 10 inches all the way over to upper Maine getting as much as 14 inches. And rolling this forward some more, we see that mean kind of continue to tick up. Now, this takes us out to 276 hours. We haven't gone all the way through the end of the run. That's probably far enough, 11 days out. Much of this can change, but this has been a popular target. We've seen means up here around 2 feet on a mean. That's pretty impressive. And so we've got a lot of snow opportunities over the next 2 weeks. It's a great pattern for the Northeast, really in upper Mid-Atlantic as well. So while Boston, we don't see that much down here, probably, you're probably going to see 10 to 20 inches of snow somewhere in that neighborhood over the next couple of weeks. It's a really good pattern, as I said, for the Northeast. And as we get on into the end of the month and into March, I think we're going to keep the snow train rolling with cold temperatures working into the United States. The pattern supports it. And so I think we'll take a look at that here in a second as well. So over in the Southeast, we're not going to deal with winter storms and winter weather and snowfall. We're going to deal with flooding rains. It was a nice weekend. We got to get outside and enjoy 60-degree temperatures. Some places in South Carolina to Georgia got into the 80s, and so we're certainly appreciative of that. But we're going to get a break from that and get back into the cooler weather and be socked in with wedges and rain over the next week or two. So if we roll this forward, this is the European ensemble mean. We're showing that again in the South, and we're going to say, let's roll this over to the next 24 to 48 hours. We're looking at anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rainfall from Texas all the way up into the Tennessee Valley. Rolling it forward further than that, if we get on out here, we'll stop it here at 72 hours. You can see much of the area is picked up, multiple inches of rain. So where we saw flood watches here and other hydrological outlooks here, we're going to start to see these flood watches and warnings expand as we go through the course of the week. We're looking at multiple rounds of rain, heavy at times, rolling this on out 174 hours. We've got on the mean as much as 5 inches up to 6 inches in some parts of the Tennessee Valley in the Southeast. And so very, very wet weather in this area. Unfortunately, this is not going to be snow. Some of this on the northern fringes, you're going to see some ice and snow to start with, but it's going to warm up beyond that. But we're looking at an awful lot of rain, continuing to roll it forward. We get out to 276 hours again. And, again, 6-7 inches in parts of Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia on the mean. Where I live here in Morganton, looks like we're close to 5 inches of rain. And so it's an active pattern. So as we continue to work out through 380 or 360 hours on the mean. We'll probably see this increase a little bit more, but the big takeaway here is it's going to be very, very, very wet in the southeast. This is not going to be Helene where you have to worry about, likely landslides and massive, massive flooding, but there is going to be river flooding. There's going to be flash flooding. So watch out for that. Pay attention to local alerts as we go through the course of the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, into Saturday and Sunday. Temperature wise, these are the 2-meter temperatures, and you can see the warm air is kind of gone, right? So we're looking at 40s down here across the lower portions of the south and southeast. You're seeing some 60s and 70s, but by and large, we're socked in with wedging and cool air. Thursday, we get a little bit of a surge of warmth ahead of a front, and you can see single digits up here in the northern, I guess, sections or southern sections of Heartland area. And then we can go further than that, and we'll just continue to see 30s and 40s prevail. We've got more wedging. We got another cold front coming in, so a surge ahead of that, and just wave after wave of cold air. So quite a bit below normal for this time of year, all the way out to 276 hours, and I imagine it will be cold through the end of the run. The MJO is cycling through phase 8, 1, 2. Those are cold phases, and so my expectation is that long-range models will show that reflected in their temperature and height patterns. Looking at the anomaly, so this is how much below or above normal the temperatures are. You can see the blues, greens, purples below, oranges, yellows, reds, all of that above. So we can just roll this out, and you can see. You really see the wedging picking up here into all the way into Georgia. This is a pretty stout wedge. You've got northeast winds coming in, establishing a cold air feed, and so 54 hours out, 60 hours out, that it's scoured out eventually, and then another surge of cold air comes in. We've got more wedging building in and kind of hanging out. You can see the signature pretty well there. That's pretty interesting to see. A little bit of a surge in anomalies, and then we're back to cold. We got Barty colors up here. That's really, really cold. That's almost 30 degrees below normal. The greens here, you can see these are 13, 15 below normal. So I think our average is 55 here in Morganton. So we're looking at somewhere in the low 40s for highs. So that's pretty impressive departures. We roll it on out, and you can still see that another surge coming in. So cold end of February. The second half of February is going to be different than the first half of February, and that sort of brings us into the end of our video. We're going to take a look here at kind of the bigger picture, for the United States as a whole. So again, illustrative of the southeast, this is going to show you the entire country, and you can see the cold anomalies working in. Again, this is an anomaly map, and so you can see a quick bout or burst of warm temperatures followed by a surge of colder weather. The European ensemble mean continues to show cold weather across the United States. This is exactly what I expect as we see the MJO drive around the colder phase into the colder phases. By the way, that's just an area of convection in the tropics, and where it exists and how strong it exists impacts the jet stream, and so certain locations of the MJO correlate to certain locations of the jet stream. And so that's either warmer or colder depending on where it sets up. And so it's not the only impacting factor on the pattern, but it certainly is an impactful player. And we would skew a little colder when the MJO is in phase 1, 8, 1, 2, 3. Looking at the upper air picture here for the European ensemble, we always look up to see down, and so we look at the pattern upstairs. We can see out in time the European ensemble at 276 hours out shows blocking. That's going to displace the jet stream farther south. When the jet stream is south of you, you generally are colder than normal in the wintertime, and so you can see that show up here pretty good. What about the GFS? Does it say the same thing? It sure does. So at 246 hours, the GFS tells us kind of the same thing here. If we see the blocking here over Canada, this is a ridge in the upper atmosphere. This is a trough in the upper atmosphere. Troughs correlate with colder weather generally. Ridges correlate with warmer weather generally. And so Canada is a little bit warmer than normal. If we go back to our anomaly map, you can kind of see that playing out here. So Canada looks a little bit warmer. The United States looks a little bit colder. And so that's what we see on the GEFS. And of course, the anomaly maps here bear that out. Seeing cold weather coming in, We're looking at this all the way out. Cold, 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 cold. Now, if we can just get a storm track to go to the south of us and get some of this colder weather to work with, we can be cooking in the southeast. I would actually, I'll actually say this. This area of the United States, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, up into the Northeast, I would be on the lookout here for a fairly anomalously strong storm system as we get into the end of February, into the first half of March. The pattern is very active. The wavelengths are short. There's a good opportunity for phasing systems. There's cold air at play. So somewhere in this area could see a fairly large and impressive winter storm. Now we'll have to see how that plays out. It's still got to come together, but the odds are a little higher than normal for that to happen. So we'll watch that as we go through the end of the month. And with that, I think that's going to be a wrap for today. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for additional videos, leave a prayer request or a comment in the comment section, and we'll see you back soon. Before you go, just remember, as always, if you didn't like the weather that you saw today, there's always another model out there that might show something you like better. So it's your job to go find it. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.